All right, your pitching box score again. Yamamoto got the start, went 5 innings, and then Tanner Scott wrapped it up against the Chicago Cubs. What were your impressions of the pitching from the Los Angeles Dodgers?
Well, I mean, it was extremely impressive what they were able to do throughout 9 innings. Yamamoto set the tone for them, and I mean, he just looked like a different pitcher. And I think everything coming out of Dodgers camp, especially early on, was this guy seems way more confident in what he needs to do in order to be successful. But when I watch him pitch, especially like last year coming over, that delivery of his, for me, would be so tough as a hitter with that abbreviated windup that he has where he just kind of comes at you as opposed to the traditional leg kick. Really tough to time, especially when you're throwing upper 90s like that with the split finger. The thing for him, and he talked about it too after, he feels great with his mechanics, which allows him to be very consistent as far as his command. And that's extremely key for any pitcher. But when you're featuring the stuff that he has, you'll see it today. It'll make him almost unhittable when he's not making mistakes in the middle of the zone. Yeah,
it's interesting. When healthy, I'm not sure which collective unit is better, the starting rotation or the bullpen. And we got a sneak preview of just what that bullpen can look like. Treinen and then Scott to finish it.
Yeah, I mean, the starting rotation has a who's who of some of the best starting pitchers we have in the game. And then, so the bullpen sometimes could get a little bit lost, but that bullpen, there's a ton of weapons down there for Roberts to be able to deploy with all different types of arm angles, too. You have Banda out there throwing, the fastball slider combination, left-handed. Treinen right there with the most gravity-defying pitch I've ever seen, and Tanner Scott, one of the best closers in the game.
Look at these arm angles.
We have different arm angles at different speeds, different shapes on their balls, so you can not only deploy guys based on what they can do, but what they can do against specific hitters and specific swings, because they have so many different options down there that have plus stuff. And so for Dave Roberts and the Dodgers, I mean, you have a starting pitcher that gets you through 5 innings, 6 innings. I mean, the game, becomes really short, really short. When you're able to bring guys out of the pen like that with those different arm angles and that kind of stuff.
And this tweet here concerning Freddie Freeman, remember he got scratched right before Game 1. Said during his last round of BP, he felt some discomfort in the same area of ribs he hurt during last year's playoffs. He said this is much less severe, still lobbied to play today. Said there's a 75% chance he's back in tomorrow, depending on how he feels. And looking ahead to Game 2 of this Tokyo series, Roki Sasaki, Justin Steele, that is your pitching matchup on the mound between the Cubs and the Dodgers. I have a feeling, and my gut says Freddie won't play.
Probably not. Just, after this game, then, you're back to spring training, getting ready for the regular season. So more than likely he doesn't, just not to push it. But, it sounds like it's nothing that serious. This is more precautionary. If it was probably the regular season, he's probably playing.
Yeah.
If it was,
it was a postseason game for sure.
Absolutely. But it's something obviously he's dealt with, so he knows what he needs to do to kind of get it right. But I've never dealt with any sort of rib injury like that, so I'm not sure how that feels, but I'm not too worried about it. It seemed like Freddie's not too worried about it either, but more precautionary than anything else.
So Roki Sasaki makes his major league debut, 23 years old, 136 days, youngest Japanese-born player in Major League Baseball since Junichi Tozawa in 2009. He'll be going against Justin Steele, who last year had an ERA of just over 3. Obviously, all eyes are going to be on Sasaki just because it's going to be his debut. What are you looking for from him tomorrow?
Yeah, his debut in Japan, the nerves are definitely going to be there. So, mainly I'll be looking for how does he control himself, although he has pitched in big games before and has had tremendous success already in his young career. But he's got 3+ pitches. I mean, and that splitter is probably as nasty of a pitch as you'll see in baseball in Japan and in the United States. I'm expecting the Cubs to try to jump on him early, hone in on that fastball, because you don't want to get to that splitter or even that slider. You got 3+ pitches there from him.
So you think that the Cubs will be attacking early in the count, looking to get some early swings on the fastball?
I would expect them to be aggressive, especially on the fastball in the zone, especially at the top of the zone. Because you don't want to get to 2 strikes to get to that splitter right there. So it'll be interesting to see the cat and mouse game between the hitters and Sasaki. But also not just in this game, but I think over the course of the year, just seeing how the Dodgers, manage him over the course of the year.
On the flip side, Justin Steele started last season very slowly, but his ERA from Memorial Day on was 2.47. So he's obviously looking to continue that momentum in his first start of 2025. Now, this from Jack Curry, who is part of the Yankees coverage over on Yes. The expectation is that Clark Schmidt is going to throw a live BP Thursday, threw about 25 pitches Monday, reported no issues Tuesday. Still, with opening day only 9 days away, it's going to be interesting to see how the Yankees handle Schmidt. At the outset, he has had shoulder fatigue, and obviously the injuries in the rotation have been well documented, but that's a sliver of good news for a rotation that sorely needs it.
Yeah, sliver of good news, like you said. Hopefully everything comes out okay for Schmidt, because they've definitely been hit hard. With Heel being out, probably at least 2 months at the beginning of the season, and Garrett being out for the year. But
I mean, this is remarkable here. On the left, you think you have pitching depth until you don't.
Yeah, and that's when you're looking at the names on the right. You see, Carrasco there towards the bottom. You see Will Warren, and both of them have been pitching well this spring. Who ends up taking that spot if Schmidt is healthy and good to go? I could definitely see, Carrasco making this team because he's pitched well this spring. He's gotten some swings and misses, and Warren has an option. So to kind of create more of that depth, that I would see them keeping Carrasco, at the start of this year, especially with the way he's been pitching, to see if that can continue to kind of keep and bolster some of that depth.
Carrasco has an opt-out on March 22nd, so kind of circle your calendar there because we are rapidly approaching. It was a split squad day for the Blue Jays. They were another portion of the Blue Jays taking on the New York Yankees, and this, I think, is a sign of things to come. I think 2025 is going to be a big year for Bo Bichette.
I've done a few shows so far in spring training. I've seen him hit several home runs already. He looks like he's locked in.
Looking like his dad, Dante, with the bat drop there.
Yeah,
I love it.
That was sexy.
Trent Grisham, second consecutive game with a homer for him. His fourth of the spring. Yankees cut the lead to 4-3.
Don't forget about me.
Yorbit Vivas. Shallow fly ball. Oh, play with it. Bo Bichette, nice catch there. Blue Jays go on to win 6-5. Let's go to Twitter for this tweet here. Some injury updates on the New York Yankees from Aaron Boone. DJ LeMahieu is, quote, moving the needle and progressing from his calf injury. He's been hitting. Jake Cousins is throwing at 90 feet. Clark Schmidt's bullpen went well. Remember, he was supposed to start today. That got scratched. Giancarlo is doing more, but wouldn't specify what exactly. Of course, he's dealing with the 2 injured elbows. So, level of concern on the New York Yankees in light of everything that we know.
Yep.
Garrett Cole out for the season. Heel is going to miss significant time. Giancarlo, we don't know about. Level of concern for the Yankees right now.
My concern's pretty high, and it's not really around all of the injuries. But to me, when this team was really built around a starting rotation, that's what I saw coming into the season. That was going to be their biggest strength. I know they're still not a bad offensive team. They're a good offensive team. I know they have some arms out there in the bullpen that we saw come through in the playoffs, and they made a couple acquisitions in the offseason. But to me, that is the biggest and the starkest difference. When you were looking 6 deep and feeling like, okay, even our 6th man, Marcus Stroman, has done some really good things in Major League Baseball. And now I still love Max Fried at the top, but you don't know what you're going to get out of Carlos Rodon. You don't know when Clark Schmidt is truly going to be healthy. And if your 5 is a mix of Cookie Carrasco or Will Warren and others, I start to question where they're going to go as the season progresses, and there are more injuries that pile up.
I will say, to kind of put in the Yankees plus column, Max Fried, that's a huge signing now.
Unbelievable.
Carlos Rodon made huge strides last year. He's going to be their opening day starter. Devin Williams has got to help in the back end of the bullpen. And Cody Bellinger and Paul Goldschmidt have looked pretty good offensively so far this spring.
The reason I say there's a level of concern is because coming into the season, I thought, at least coming into spring training, I should say, it was really kind of World Series or bust again. I thought this team had everything. And now that ceiling has definitely come down. And I'm just not sure they've got what it takes to get to where they thought they were going to get to.
Yeah, less room for error. Definitely.
Almost no room for error at this point.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Or injury.
Paul Goldschmidt did have to leave today's game with a back injury, but they don't seem to be too concerned about it, so hopefully he's going to be okay. Craig Kimbrel is going back to the Atlanta Braves. Ken Rosenthal. Ken has a new profile pic? He hasn't alerted me of that, and he's cleared with me. But he put out this tweet, Kimbrel heading back to where he started, in agreement with the Braves, minor league deal, sources telling The Athletic. And then Jeff Passan following up with this tweet, Craig Kimbrel's minor league deal with the Braves will pay him $2 million in the major leagues, a source telling him Kimbrel is expected to ramp up for a few weeks, and if all goes according to plan, join the Braves' big league bullpen. And he, of course, credits Ken with being first. Kimbrel has not pitched with the Atlanta Braves since 2014, but he left quite a mark when he left Atlanta. 186 saves. That is the most in the history of this tremendous franchise. They do have Raisel Iglesias, an all-star accomplished closer at the back end. What do you make of Kimbrel going back to Atlanta in this current form?
Well, I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome for him. I think it'll be great for Braves fans, too. But, also a chance for Kimbrel to kind of find redemption, too, a little bit. Last year, he did okay over the first half of the season with the Orioles, but then in July started to, have some hiccups, a couple of back-to-back blown saves, and ended up getting removed from that closer role. But he's still, even though his velocity isn't like what it used to be, he still has swing and miss stuff, above average swing and miss stuff between his fastball that has good ride at the top of the zone and a really good sharp breaking ball. So it's just a matter of him being in the zone. That's always been kind of his thing, like being able to command the ball in the zone, limit the walks, which in turn will help limit the damage, and trust that, his stuff is still able to get guys to swing and miss in the zone.
It'll be interesting to see what his role is specifically. As we mentioned, Iglesias is there for the ninth to get those final 3 outs, but where does Kimbrel go before that? It'll be interesting to see how they use it.
It'll be interesting to see. It'll probably depend on, a lot of it on performance. I mean, that's one of those things when you're a reliever, it's a volatile, position in the back end of that bullpen. Typically, the manager's going to ride the hot hand a lot of the times. But he still has good stuff. You're talking about a guy that's 5th all-time in the history of baseball in career saves. So he's on the highway to the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely. He is one of the dominant closers of his era. Kind of big picture, I think that division, the National League East, it's going to be like a triple threat match. I don't know how many wins it's going to take to win the division, but I wouldn't be shocked if it's less than what people think.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to beat up on each other a little bit. The one thing is they don't have to play each other as much with the schedule change from last year. It'll be for some great games over the course of the year between the Braves, the Phillies, and the Mets. And seeing which team ends up, being able to withstand the injury bug and also get hot at the right time.